Ever missed your exit even though there were 3 signs in the last mile? You're not alone. Mastering the Commute, your 6-minute traffic fix. Episode 31, Sign Blind, Why We Ignore Road Signs and How to Read Them Better.
Traffic and more traffic in 6 minutes. Randy, here's Randy Keith.
Welcome back to Mastering the Commute. I'm your host, Randy Keith. This week, I'm reflecting on how many signs I see on the road every day and how everyone seems to miss them. Road signs are like the ultimate cheat codes for driving. They tell you exactly where to go and when to move. Yet so many drivers seem to ignore them completely, especially here in Florida, where we've got giant green overhead signs that literally draw a diagram of how the lanes split. You'd think they'd be impossible to miss, but they are. Today, we're diving into why so many drivers miss or misunderstand road signs, what these signs actually tell us, and how paying better attention can save you from panic lane changes, last-second exits, and even crashes. Those big green guide signs you see on highways aren't just random pieces of metal. They're the result of decades of research in cognitive psychology and traffic engineering. The Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, basically the Bible of American road signs, specifies everything from font size to color contrast ratios. The standard font, called Highway Gothic, was specifically designed in the 1940s to be readable at 70 miles an hour or more in varying light conditions. Here's something fascinating. The Federal Highway Administration research shows that drivers have an average of 2.5 seconds to read and process a highway sign at 65 miles per hour, which of course is the speed limit for the majority of highways across the country. That means signs must convey critical information in a lightning-fast window. The spacing of advance warning signs, typically 1 mile, half a mile, and at the exit, gives drivers 3 chances to process the same information. In Florida specifically, our overhead signs often include lane use arrows and diagrams because traffic engineers learned that visual representations reduce processing time by about 40% compared to text-only signs. They also help visual learners like myself. A 2020 UCF study found that these diagrammatic signs reduced wrong-way movements at complex interchanges by 62%. But here's the problem. Despite all this science, the average driver only consciously processes about 30% of the signs they encounter. The other 70% get filtered out by what researchers call sign blindness. Now, sign blindness isn't about bad eyesight. It's about how our brains process information while driving. Dr. Daniel Simons, hope I'm saying that right, from the University of Illinois, famous for his invisible gorilla experiment, conducted similar studies with driving simulators. He found that drivers experiencing cognitive load, like having a conversation or thinking about work, miss up to 85% of roadway signs, even when looking directly at them. There's also expectation bias. If you've driven a route hundreds of times, your brain stops actively scanning for signs because it assumes nothing has changed. But construction, new businesses, or updated traffic patterns can throw off even experienced drivers. The sign clutter problem is real too. In some urban areas, drivers encounter up to 60 different signs per mile. Traffic controls, business ads, construction warnings. Our brains literally can't process that much information, so they start filtering aggressively. Then there's what I call GPS dependency syndrome. I finally have a label for some of my wife's and mother-in-law's behaviors while driving. A 2021 study by the GPS manufacturer Garmin found that 73% of drivers now rely primarily on turn-by-turn decisions rather than reading road signs. This creates a feedback loop where we become even less skilled at sign reading because we're not practicing it. And I have spoken about this a lot, and especially in early episodes on freeway personalities, on lane choices and lane changes, that it is so much better to be informed, to be an informed driver, because that helps you make decisions rather than just blindly relying on a GPS or any other source. Now, I've been talking about Florida a lot, obviously because I do live there, but also because Florida presents unique signing challenges because of our diverse driver population. We have tourists who've never seen our roads, seasonal residents learning new routes, and international visitors unfamiliar with American signage conventions. I have driven all over the country, and certainly Central Florida is one of the most dangerous places to drive exactly because of that. Our DOT has responded with some innovative approaches. The lane diagrams I mentioned earlier are one example, and another is our use of destination-based signing rather than just route numbers. Instead of just I-4 East, signs often say I-4 East to Orlando or Tampa Airport. But even our best signs can't overcome driver inattention. Florida Highway Patrol data shows that failure to observe traffic control devices contributes to about 23,000 crashes annually in our state alone. Here's your masterclass in sign reading that could save you from that next missed exit. The mile out strategy. When you see the first advanced guide sign, usually at least 1 mile ahead, start your mental preparation immediately. Note which lane you need and begin positioning yourself. The lane diagram decode. These white lines, the white lines on green signs, they aren't decorative. They're literal maps of what each lane does. A thick white line curving right with an arrow means that lane becomes an exit-only ramp. Trust these diagrams over your assumptions. The color code system. Green signs are for destinations and distances. Blue signs are for services like gas and food. Brown signs for recreational areas and tourist attractions. And orange signs always relate to construction or temporary conditions. Each color triggers different decision-making processes. And signal early, move gradually. This, again, a very common theme of this podcast. Once you know which lane you need, signal and begin moving over gradually rather than waiting until the last second. Traffic engineers design sign spacing to give you time for smooth lane changes. A Virginia Tech study using eye tracking technology found that drivers who actively scan for signs every 8 to 10 seconds miss 73% fewer exits than those who only look up when prompted by a GPS system. Now, construction zones completely change the signing game. Temporary signs often override permanent ones, and the usual lane rules don't apply. The key is to slow down your normal scanning process and read every orange sign, even if you think you know the area. Multi-destination exits require extra attention. In South Florida, many exits serve multiple major destinations in different directions. You have to read beyond just the first destination listed. Your target might be the third or fourth item mentioned. Weather also affects sign visibility dramatically. A University of Michigan study found that sign readability drops by 60% in heavy rain and 85% in fog. During these conditions, drivers need to reduce speed and increase the following distance to give themselves more processing time. And you can go back to earlier episodes. Off the top of my head, it's either 10 or 11 where we went all over weather conditions. On your next highway drive, try this exercise. Every time you see a green guide sign, read it completely, even if it's not for your exit. This trains your brain to scan actively rather than passively waiting for navigation prompts. Also, pay attention to those lane diagrams if you have them in your state. They're incredibly accurate and can prevent those heart-stopping last-second lane changes we've all experienced. Want to see more examples of signs that I've been talking about and lane diagrams and how to read them like a pro? Check out my guide at drivesmarternow.com, where I break down challenging interchanges from around Florida and beyond. Follow me on social media at Mastering the Commute on Facebook and YouTube, where I post daily shorts and weekly podcast video episodes. And don't forget to check out our community at drivesmarternow.com. Until next week, keep your eyes on the road and the signs.